Hey everyone, good morning. This is Smashy Business Show. I am Ward Ahmed and I have Majid with me today. And it is the 6th of March. It's Thursday. This week ran so fast. I can't believe it's Thursday, by the way. It feels like Friday.
Yeah.
It feels like Friday. I think it's because of the Ramadan spirit. Every day just feels so calm. Is it just me? It's so calm, Majid. Like nothing is stressing me out. I don't feel stressed.
It's just a month of blessings, and I think psychological blessings as well. We are calm and
You
cool
think
down.
so?
We're not rushing into everything because it's Ramadan.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the Ramadan, the fasting, brings kind of like the patience in you, builds a patience in you.
No, I'm not more patient. And the fact that I'm not more patient, even though that, in this month they say that basically the devil is like locked away. It's like, I know that it's a me issue. I know that it's a me issue and nobody is influencing this behavior. No, but being impatient, by the way, is such a good trait for entrepreneurs to have. Like, oh my God, I remember this, by the way, when I was at Step. Yeah, I was at Step and I was basically tuning in to this panel with Michael Lahyani,
Property Finder.
Basically the founder and CEO of Property Finder. The panel was basically with him and also with his investor. I believe his investor's name was Fadi. So I was just listening to the entire panel, and then I remember, Michael's investor went like, what makes Michael so special and what makes Property Finder so special is the fact that Michael is so impatient. He went like right now, he's sitting beside us in the panel and he appears so calm, and he appeared so calm, by the way. He has this like stellar effect to him. I don't know how to explain it, just like pitch perfection. But point is, he went like, this man is so impatient. He's so impatient about things. He always just wants to get things done. And I've noticed this trait in a lot of like entrepreneurs, by the way. Everything is just quick for them. Even if it's the best product, worst product, get it done quickly, move on to the next best thing, and you hope that in the 10 quick things that you did, one of them came out really, really good. Yeah. And then you have quantity, but then you also have quality. Because, by the way, like I remember, like, this is also a lesson I learned here, by the way, when I joined Augustus. It's like, I'm one of those people, I always thought that it's quality over quantity, but then I learned something, Majid. It's actually better to, like, I don't know, we'll use the metaphor of news stories. It's better to release 5 news stories and have 2 that become really popular than just, do 3.
One perfect story, like,
exactly.
in a day.
But like out of those 6 stories, 2 or 3 will become really popular. So it's just, I feel like impatience, it's such a good habit to have. And when I was sitting in that panel, listening to Michael and listening to Fadi, his investor, it was so interesting, by the way, because, he also said that they're not planning for an IPO anytime soon, but he will do it at some point. So Property Finder, they're going to have an IPO. You heard it from us, by the way. Nobody announced this. But I remember even the way that his investor was speaking about him. He said that, and it was so strange. He went like, you have to be really honest with your investor. And he was basically speaking about how Michael told him, like, I don't think I can do this, like, forever. And then obviously Fadi was like, I know you guys are thinking that this is gonna like scare me, but if anything, I was like, you know what? I want to work with this man more because of how honest he is. Yeah. Like, he's so honest, and I'm like, it's interesting. It's interesting to see. I think honesty always goes back to, being really genuine. But what do you think about that, Majid?
There's this very famous thing about Italian people. Just reminded me about honesty here. I was again watching something, and this Italian entrepreneur said that there's only 2 things that are true about Italians. Don't break 2 things with them: their head and their trust. So I think it goes out generally for everyone in business. If you're in any kind of business, products, services, markets, whatever business you're in, trust is the most important factor. If your investors, if your employees, if your colleagues, if no one trusts you, no one will do business with you. And that's the whole summary, the philosophical summary of any business. If people trust you, they'll buy your product. They know that you're giving them a good product which makes their life easier, which is nutrient filled. Or whenever we see trust being broken by any brand, and talking about brands, we'll talk about a lot of brands today as well, but when you talk about brands, as soon as a brand does something which breaks someone's trust, like all the big brands, McDonald's giving free meals to their to the Israeli soldiers when they're carrying a genocide, you saw sales went down. So this whole movement, the BDS movement, the boycott movement against a lot of these brands is also about trust. That they didn't stay neutral, they took a side. So yeah, trust,
No,
honesty,
that is very
trust.
true.
These are very important when you're
and
doing
just like,
any business.
And just like developing on what Majid just said, basically like just last night, like the news came out that basically 4 Starbucks stores have been closed in Jordan.
Yeah.
And I found it so interesting because just a while ago, Smashy released this story courtesy of Majid, and basically it was about how the Starbucks CEO was like, we want to expand more into the Middle East. We want to give people more jobs. And what's really interesting about all of this, Majid, is I spoke to this former woman that used to work for Starbucks, and I'd asked her, why'd you leave Starbucks? We had the same job, we worked together, and she told me, that's when the boycott happened. And there was a lot of job cuts, and I got fired. And she said it was actually a really good job for me. But by the way, for them to pay them that, I believe, that certain amount of money, you basically work 8 hours for 6 days a week. Yeah,
nice.
To be a full-time employee at Starbucks in the UAE. But she said that okay, yes, I worked a lot, and yes, I was standing a lot, and yes, I only had a 1 hour break during the day, and then I'd be standing the entire day. But in the end of the day, what they paid me, the benefits that I got were really good. So a lot of people were affected by those cuts.
Yeah.
And man, I understand, by the way, I understand her. The standing, oh my God, Majid. I remember at the time where I was transitioning between being a Lush sales associate into working here, I could not explain to you how grateful I was to simply just be seated. No, really. I had gratitude for sitting down. And every once in a while, by the way, when I'm at the desk sitting in front of you, I'm always like, wow, I'm seated right now. I'm not standing. Yeah,
those jobs are very difficult, the standing jobs.
And
right?
by the way, what was really weird? We'd have a lot of health professionals who'd come up to us, doctors, and be like, wait, do you stand all the time? And we'd be like, yeah, we only sit down for our 10-minute break. And then she'd look at me and be like, by the way, that's gonna destroy your feet, your muscle might pop.
One thing that I like about this is I saw a lot of these posts in my time when I was coming to the UAE, that they clearly tell you that it's a very high energy, long-standing hours job. They don't lie to you that, oh no, you can sit down every once in a while. So they tell you clearly, so if you're in for it, you're in for it, you know that you're in for it. That's the good part. That
I loved it. It was a free workout.
Yeah. But still, I think those people, the guards who are standing always, the salespeople always standing in the stores, salute to you guys. By the way, Starbucks is owned by Al Shaya Group in UAE. If you're talking about Starbucks, and the thing that you're talking about, that Middle East stores got closed and Starbucks faced a lot of problems. To be honest, it feels a little closer to our heart because Al Shaya is a Middle Eastern company. Started in Kuwait, has 70 brands under them. Starbucks is one of them. And in 2024, last year, I remember around the mid part of the year, they were also talking about selling the Starbucks business to someone. So they wanted to shed Starbucks because of the boycotts, or maybe because it wasn't doing good. There was no reason given officially by Al Shaya Group. But now it's on hold. So still, they own the Starbucks franchises in the Middle East. So whatever happens in the Middle East is actually Al Shaya's decision. I think there is an approvals process in place, or when they're opening new branches or when they're closing something down, they have to ask or tell at least Starbucks, the main company. But yeah, it's Al Shaya Group, and they're one of the biggest groups in the region, like Apparel Group, Landmark Group. They're one of the biggest who brought so many franchises. To be honest, sometimes I think that Dubai, the UAE, owes these groups because they actually brought all the franchises of the biggest brands to this country. I remember I was reading about Apparel Group, maybe, or Landmark Group. Sorry for the confusion, but one of the groups, they opened one store in Dubai's Deira area, and Deira was the business hub. It still is the business hub. It's not as flashy as downtown, but it is.
I love Deira, by the way. It has such nice finds.
They opened one store. They started with just one denim store, jeans store. It was a branded jeans, and they turned it into a 120 store thing in just 2 years. So imagine the need, the want that was there in the region, and they brought those franchises and grew astronomically. So they grew, UAE grew, and today we are as one of the strongest region in the world.
Yeah, wait,
for everyone.
and you know, like, this region, the Middle East, the reason why they keep growing is because they keep finding new strategies to keep up.
Yeah.
And, we're seeing Saudi Arabia doing this with basically launching this marketing investment authority, and basically they're doing it to boost foreign direct investment. So, what actually happened here? So, Saudi Arabia has approved the creation of the Saudi Investment Marketing Authority to enhance the kingdom's attractiveness as a global investment destination. And basically, this authority's role is to promote investment opportunities within Saudi Arabia and globally, to collaborate with relevant stakeholders across various sectors, and to highlight Saudi Arabia's competitive advantage and available incentives. And, just to, give you the recent successes that Saudi Arabia has experienced in foreign direct investment. So they actually exceeded their 2023 target for foreign investment by 16%. And they have nearly 900 billion riyal invested. And, this entire story, Majid, what I see it as is a culture and society that sees that the world is advancing and is keeping up with it really well. Yeah. Marketing now more than ever is so pivotal. And people, by the way, underestimate marketing. They still think that marketing is a useless degree. I used to think marketing was a useless degree. No, like
good marketing is very important.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, you need to hire the right people who've done something in the marketing field or like disrupted the field with their strategies.
I don't even just think it's hiring the right people. I think it's just putting the brand out there, reminding people that this exists. Yeah. These services exist.
Reminds me of this case study I studied back in my time when I was studying. Betty Crocker, very famous brand. Sorry, it's not a Middle Eastern. Yeah, I'm not talking about a Middle Eastern brand, but just about marketing, that how important it is. They were like, we launched these cakes and all mixes, and everyone loved them in the start, and then we suddenly saw a decline because the consumers, and for them the main consumer, their primary target audience was women making cakes and baking all that stuff they can use for that mix. And they're like, we suddenly saw a decline, and we realized, we went on, we did our whole research and found out that women feel guilty for not making stuff from scratch for their families.
Oh, I feel that way.
Yeah,
that I feel guilty whenever I use the Betty Crocker brownie box.
And now I'll tell you why.
It was just me.
No, everyone did. And it's like, this is like 90s, early 90s when Betty Crocker was launched and everything. And their marketing technique to bring back the sales up was, they removed the egg from the mix. And they were like, we made them feel like they're doing something. They're putting an effort in it.
Oh my God, that's so...
Right?
And I do feel that, by the way.
You're
Whenever I look at the box from the back and I see that those two eggs that you have to crack, I'm like, okay, I'm doing something here. I'm whisking, So I'm hard at work.
This is like, see, this is what marketing actually is. You go to the audience or your target primary audience and you see the sentiment, and then you like make the product or angle the product like that. Emotional appeal, whatever you use the right tool on your target audience and make them feel like they're doing something. So just adding eggs, imagine, right?
Oh my God, that's actually, Majid, that is so interesting. I never thought that it was so intentional. I just thought that those two eggs were always needed.
They could have mixed it easily.
This is so good. Because by the way, like even I had like a Betty Crocker brownie phase, and I would like buy it every single week, and I would make it without fail. But I actually stopped because I felt guilty. I still feel guilty. By the way,
why am I making it so easily, right?
Yeah, even like, and it tastes so good. And after just like 2 eggs, but you know what this kind of reminds me of? I remember what conference was it? Not Global Media Congress. Basically, remember I went to this and it had like Robert Kiyosaki, Casey Neistat. I completely forgot my name.
We'll remember it.
Oh my God. Okay, so basically I went to this summit and Casey Neistat, very famous YouTuber, I'm sure that you all know him. He came to the UAE, to Dubai, to Coca-Cola Arena, and he was basically, he put up this video of this campaign that he did for Nike.
Mega Campus Summit.
Yeah. Oh, Mega Campus Summit. Yes. So basically, he was showing us this video that he did for Nike, and it was like, and he said that at that time, that marketing campaign was actually one of the biggest campaigns to ever be done on YouTube, and to this day, it actually has the most views on his channel. And by the way, like he even said it. He was like, the campaign does not even have Nike's shoes in it. like he went like I was entrusted by Nike to. He was given a certain budget. I don't remember what that number was, but it was a very big number. And he, if you can find that number, please try and match it. But he was given a lot of money by Nike, and they're like, you know what? We're going to trust you with this. And you know what the entire campaign is? It's basically him running across the world. He took the money from Nike and he used it to travel, and his travel vlogs are the video. And when he handed in the video, they actually came back to him. They're like, where are the shoes? So the last tiniest clip in the video is him wearing the shoes at the end. But even as I was watching the ad, by the way, even though I don't see Nike's shoes, I just see Neistat running around the entire world having a good time. In my brain, I immediately, what did I do? I associated Nike with like this like fun spirit, you know, like they're average beings.
Yeah.
Even because think about it, if you're gonna buy from a corporation, you don't always want to have that deep, keen awareness that you're a giant. You know, you're a cash cow.
Yeah.
I don't want to think that. I'm not going to buy from you. I don't want to give you more money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in my head, like I thought of, until this day, like I'm wearing Dunks right now. I think of Nike as this like very cool, very free-spirited, running around the world kind of brand. But let's talk about like marketing ads here. Yeah. Like what Al-Mara'i is doing. So, you know, just yesterday, me and Majid were telling you guys how Al-Mara'i, it was founded by this Saudi prince, but what's even more impressive about the brand is, you know, it was founded in 1977 and they're doing great till now. Their valuation right now is at $15 billion. But bringing me to my point, the Ramadan ads are so genius. I know that a lot of people in the comments section were like, oh, is this a sponsorship? No, it is not a sponsorship. Their ads are really good because of the fact that they kind of cracked the code and realized that the best way to market to people during Ramadan is not cutting off their shows.
Yeah.
It's not cutting off their videos. You know when like an ad just comes in between and then you watch it for 30 seconds or you can like skip after 10 seconds, I believe. What they did is they found a way to just place their logo in the video, the YouTube video, or like, you know, on TV just for the entire time. And honestly, Majid, it works.
Yeah.
It does work. Like, it reminds you they exist. And it doesn't do it in a way where, like, you get fatigued. Like, you know, ad fatigue when you watch a lot of ads. So Al-Mara'i is doing really great in terms of ads.
It's kind of like they're going back to the original TV thing. In TV, whenever you saw, even now, when you see TV shows, news bulletins, 1 hour shows, anything, there's always like a commercial break in between them. And they're taking that idea, they're putting into YouTube, because YouTube is the new TV, I think. Everyone watches it. No one watches TV actually. So yeah, they took an idea which was successful for a very long time, at least 3-4 decades, and they implemented it into a different way. So that's good. I think coming back to Saudi, the story actually reminded me of Invest UAE campaign. You remember Idris Elba? UAE also had an Invest in the Emirate campaign.
I do remember it.
Yeah, they put Idris Elba as the face of the campaign. It was a really classy ad. Loved it. And in that marketing campaign, they're also doing this. They're trying to bring money from foreign investors. Again, FDI, foreign direct investment. They want people to come and invest in the industries that UAE is good in. And that is part of their, again, non-oil strategy. They want to move away from oil. And they put an air taxi in a London subway right in front of it. They've done so many things in so many countries. They've put up billboards, Invest in UAE, across like the whole of Europe. Nearly 80 plus countries are covered where they're putting up billboards. They're marketing UAE as the place for investment. So this move actually reminds me of UAE's move. Saudi is following this trip. They know that they need it. Again, I was reading somewhere that they tried this in 2022 as well. It was investment marketing something, not authority. So now it's rebranded as authority, and they want people to come and invest in Saudi Arabia. Because obviously, Saudi Arabia needs that money right now to build whatever they're trying to build for the future.
But you know, Majid, I'm honestly so excited to see more like creative marketing ads from Saudi. I feel like because their culture, if we're being quite honest, it has recently, you know, opened up. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of, you know, Ramadan ads come out of Saudi and how they influence people. Because these ads, by the way, they are so nostalgic. Like, there's this ad in Egypt. It's really famous. It was done by Orange, I believe, in 2018. And it kind of follows the song. I don't know if you heard it, Majid, where basically the woman is singing. She goes like, Gariya, Gariya, hittat sukkara. And basically what she's saying is like, my neighbor. And she's speaking about like sugar. And this song, by the way, I am not joking with you. Sing it to any Arab and they know it. And
Nice.
and because of this ad done by Orange in 2018, I've kind of always had this thinking of, I want to visit Egypt one day during Ramadan. Even as a kid, by the way, when I used to watch MBC, the ads that I would see that would come out of Egypt, like, I love their ads so much. Their ad culture is just so beautiful, and I'm not being biased right now whatsoever. It's just so enjoyable. And what I would hear from like my parents who, so my dad went to university in Egypt, my mom lived there for a while, is they would say like, you have not, if you experienced Ramadan in Egypt, like you would enjoy it so much, and that it's really enjoyable.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's move to our second topic of the day. So the Khaleej Times editor-in-chief has been fired after being in charge for 16 months.
Yeah.
Now, we basically found out because Michael Jabri Pickett basically posted it on LinkedIn, and what he said was, let me read it out to you guys. You're firing me. This is what I said to our HR representative and the CEO when I was asked to step into an office at 8 a.m. on February 25th. Now, I want to see when February 25th it was. Oh, this was this Tuesday. I didn't deep that, by the way, because in my head, I was like, why are you specifically mentioning the date? Like, unless it is a weekend, we do not care. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? At 10 a.m. on the 25th, that's a normal work day.
Yeah.
They told you at a good time. I thought it was the weekend, by the way. That's why I felt bad for him. But beside the point, he went like, I refuse to get into a mud-slinging war of words. This in itself is telling me that he has a war of words to say, but he will
But
not
he
say them.
refused it.
Exactly. Not because I do not want to burn a bridge, advice that is always suggested, but because that's not my style. This post is about the newsroom team. They made my time at KT one of the best professional experiences of my life, but it even gets more interesting. He starts speaking about the several milestones that the Khaleej Times has experienced during his time there. He said,
They
basically,
launched the Arabic site. The two highlights were they launched an Arabic site.
KT Plus.
No, KhaleejTimes.com/Arabic. That was the Arabic version, and KT Plus. So KT Plus was one of the things that caught our eye as well. They tried to appeal to the Gen Z. Isa was there working on
he used to work
contract
there
for
before
some
he
time.
started working for
And
Mon
they have
5.
like a whole set of like 4 or 5 people who usually make appearances. They make videos, and they have a very Gen Z, very young style of videos.
I love it. I love it,
Yeah.
by the way, because it's, like KT Plus and their views, like they're doing so well. And by the way, like I find them entertaining.
Yeah.
I watch them. So I feel like Michael himself, he didn't even have to tell us this. Like we know. Because I've seen him in some of the KT Plus videos, by the way. Like I remember they made this like satirical, like funny boss video, and like Michael showed up in it. And it was just, it was really wholesome. But, as we're seeing this situation happening, somebody as experienced as Michael being fired, it's really signaling to this huge trend that we're seeing in the media of a lot of cutoffs. Like even very recently, the National in Abu Dhabi, according to Semaphore, they cut off 28 journalists as part of a restructuring process. Just very recently, we covered it with you guys. You lived with us in real time with this smashy business. We covered Monify and how they fired almost up to 100 employees. But that one was a crazy story because of the fact that it was founded by an Egyptian billionaire, Naguib Suarez, and also the fact that, it launched in November. It launched in November, and for a startup to fire over 90 people after 4 months, that's a very crazy story, but I think it's the fact that Naguib is involved too. Because Naguib, by the way, guys, like this man, his family is one of the richest families in the world, the richest family in Africa, in Egypt, and he's a telecom giant. Like he had this company, Orescom, and I believe he sold Orescom to the Russians. I think that's what happened.
I think he still runs it. Yeah, but stake-wise, they keep selling and buying. I think he sold some part of it to his brother as well. He's also a billionaire.
Nasir.
He has a family office in Abu Dhabi. He recently set it up last year, I guess. So yeah, that was the story. But yeah, on your point, I was telling you in the morning, I was reading a Bloomberg opinion piece, and it's a very bad, 2024 was a very bad year for CEOs. Middle East, Worth has told you, but overall, 2024 saw the highest rate of CEO exits by this EXE change, which monitors all the CEOs across the globe and their firings. And they started tracking these things in 2017, and 2024 was the worst for CEOs. And average tenure of a CEO, according to them, has dropped down to 8.3 years, lowest since 2017. So 2024 saw a lot of CEOs go out. Some of the high profiles were Unilever's Heinz Schumacher. He was fired after 20 months. Boeing, Starbucks, very recent example. The guy Brian Niccol who came, he replaced Lakshman Narasimhan. That guy couldn't even complete 1.5 years.
Wait, was it just me, or did like a while ago the CEO of Neom, so basically Saudi Arabia's Neom megacity, he stepped down.
Yeah, he
we
stepped
are
down.
seeing a lot of it because even recently I've come into the newsroom, like Majid, I'm almost getting bored of it. Every single time I'm saying CEO fired, CEO stepping down.
And this opinion piece, mainly what I saw, the idea was corporate FOMO, fear of missing out. So the writer used a very Gen Z term to explain it, that corporations, they're giving lesser and lesser time to CEOs to turn their fortunes around. Even they gave the example of Unilever and Starbucks and a lot of companies. They said they made a lot of good changes. They did great, but the companies, the heads, the board, they want them to do greater than great right now.
You know what, Majid? I don't necessarily think it's about them wanting. Yes, it is about them doing better, of course.
Yeah.
Every job you have to do better, but I don't think it's about necessarily like performance and work ethic wise, because I think a lot of people have great work ethics. I honestly think it's about catching up with trends. I think it's catching up with trends because I was having this discussion with people last night, and it was basically about how like at some point when you grow old, like basically I was saying how, wait a minute, like right now I'm making fun of the millennials because I'm Gen Z.
Yeah.
Is there gonna come a day where I'm gonna become those millennials
Then
and little kids are gonna be making fun of me? And then you know what my friend looked at me and said? She went but that's normal though. Your time came, you lived that time, and then you move on and you realize like I'm lame now. This is a new generation. And I was like, yo, like that was deep for me, by the way, because the way that she basically phrased it is that you just have to accept that you're in this new phase of life. You are not that hot spot anymore. It is young people. Yeah. And but however,
there is a generation after you now, Gen Alpha.
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm not
Gen
sure
Z,
what it's called. I'm completely ignoring their existence. Yes, Majid, can you believe that people born in 2006 are now 18 years old? Like it's really freaky when you think about it. But beside the point, you know what I think it is? I think it's catching up with trends. Yeah. And I think Majid is Majid is one of the few millennials that is honestly good at doing it. Like, he says FOMO, like even the terms he uses, I'm
at least I know the terms. I don't use them a lot, but I know the terms because I have to keep up with it.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because for example, we have terms like, I'm doing a dump today where we do a bunch of photos. Majid uses that, and I'm like, you know what? Like, you're onto something here. Those CEOs, my belief is that these things are happening to them because they're not keeping up with trends. And trends are not just the way people speak, it's the way that people do things, the way that people carry out campaigns. And if you don't catch up with the trends that young people like, you're just not going to catch up with that job.
I think Gen Z is one of the biggest, how could I phrase it? They're the future clients and consumers. So if you can't appeal your product to them, it's impossible that you'll build a successful business over the next 10 years because these guys, you guys are getting into the job market. You're going to earn now, and then you're going to take decisions of buying. What do you buy? When do you buy? So if they can't appeal to you, the next generation of consumer, we guys have lived our life. Like my generation is either in 40s or 50s. They've been through all the product things. They have settled their preferences. They'll buy from someone. So if they appeal to you, then all these products, then they make business in the next 10 years. If they lose you as a client, their business falls flat on the ground.
But like just
so
back
that
to
is
the,
why
but just like back to the like media
I think
topic.
they should have like 25, 30-year-old CEOs now, because those
You think
people
so?
actually get the idea about the newer generation.
I agree with you,
Yeah.
by the
Or
way.
at least find researchers, new kids who understand their own kids.
You know what? It doesn't
like
have
generation.
to. It doesn't have to necessarily be like 38-year-olds who are being hired.
Yeah.
You know what it can be? So basically, I heard this. Source closely related to this matter about Michael Jabri Pickett being fired, and you know what they said? The way that basically it's not true. This is all alleged, by the way. This is all allegedly. That allegedly the way that they run KT Plus is that okay, yes, they have a manager that's like okay, you guys need to get the work done. But that's the only thing you need to get the work done. Pushing people to get the work done, pushing the people to have KPIs, targets. But it's actually it's the young people in the office that plan everything. They leave all the creativity to them. That's something that I heard. Allegedly. We don't know if it's actually true, and that's why their work is so good. I would say so. Because of the fact that they leave it all to these young people to do all that creative stuff. We're just gonna take the role of enforcing things. Because by the way, I'm sorry, it's so underestimated. You do need somebody telling you you need to get these 5 things done today.
Yeah. Or at least the top management is only, I think, there for signing the papers. This is the budget that is getting approved. Tell me why is this this budget is increasing or decreasing, and they make the top level decisions. The creative decisions are for Gen Z. And I think, to be honest, any generation when it comes into the workforce or in the creative field, or it becomes a part of the mainstream everything, they should be given some authority over some decisions. So yeah, you should always take feedback from them.
Anyways, we're really sorry, Michael.
Yeah.
Your work was great.
Yeah.
Moving
we
on.
love KT Plus.
Yeah, we do really love KT
And we hope it continues when you leave.
We always talk about it. We really do always talk
Yeah.
about it. But anyways, moving on, we have a lot of aviation industry updates for you guys.
So aviation industry is going on a spree. Etihad, the $1 billion IPO that they're planning, has been delayed after Eid, because apparently they thought that Ramadan is not a good time. The good thing is Etihad did a record business in the last year, so they're very primed to go for an IPO right now. And Reuters reported that they're going for it nearly in this week, but then they came back and they're like, no, the sources are like, the board and the decision makers, they've taken a decision to do it after Eid, as soon as the Ramadan feeling and the Eid feeling goes, then they'll carry out the IPO. That is one of the news. Emirates is spending $5 billion on retrofitting their aeroplanes. I was just replying to an inbox. Some guy asked, what is retrofitting? Retrofitting is having an old aeroplane, which is still usable, but it has parts which are not working properly. So you replace the old parts with the new one, get it through an audit, check everything, get it some flying hours to see if it won't crash, and then you fly those planes. So they're doing it for 220 planes. It was going to cost them $4 billion, but Tim Clark, the president of Emirates, he recently in an event in Berlin said that we are going to spend an extra $1 billion on retrofitting them, which is very... it's a good sign that their fleet is getting better and increasing, because they're opening so many new destinations every year. They need those planes in good working condition, and they need more planes. The biggest problem is Boeing is delaying their 777s, and that is why they have to retrofit the old planes.
I feel like we've been hearing about this for the longest time ever,
so
these delays.
Boeing, as soon as that thing happened in San Francisco, their emergency door
What
blew
happened?
away in midair.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
The videos were horrifying.
Yeah. Since
Felt
then,
really bad.
Boeing has been facing a lot of problems. Still, people are ordering planes from them, and they are promising that they'll send it to them as soon as possible. Riyadh Air, one of the new airlines from Saudi Arabia, is facing delay in launch even. They can't even launch because Boeing is delaying their airplanes. So a lot is happening in the aviation industry. And the last thing that happened that came from Berlin to us is that Qatar Airways is opening more flights to Syria. because Qatar, we all know, has been one of the not one
Yeah.
of the, it's the biggest supporter.
They're financing their salaries in the government.
Throughout the Bashar al-Assad regime, Qatar was the only country that thought about the people on the ground, actually. And now, even in their rebuilding phase, Qatar is the main supporter, and they're opening more flights to Syria because they say, according to them, according to their numbers, their flights are 90% plus full. So they want to get more flights so people can fly comfortably. Maybe get an extra seat on their side sometimes.
Yeah.
So they're opening more flights. So yeah, a lot of things are happening in the aviation industry. We're keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on everything. And, if you want to know what's going on in the Middle East, I always say tune in with Smashy Business Show. It's a part of the Smashy Business production team under the Augustus Media Podcast Network. Do make sure to follow our newsletter on Smashy TV and follow us on all of our verticals. Have a lovely day.
Bye-bye.